Welcome to another session of Database and SQL Basics. In this session we will learn about left and right outer joins. Without much ado, let's jump right into the topic. Consider two tables, table 1 and table 2. Now when you perform a left outer join between table 1 and table 2, the complete data from table 1 is represented, and also the data which has mapping in table 2 is represented. So here in this diagram, all the data and mapping rows that are present in the yellow region and the overlap region of table 2 rows which are present from table 2 are taken into consideration. So this forms as a result of a left outer join. Now the way the left outer join is implemented in SQL is you select the list of columns from table A, you perform a left outer join on table B, joining on the mapping columns. So here it can be a single column or you can have multiple columns adjoined with an AND or a OR clause. Similarly in T-SQL there is an additional option to write this left outer join differently, where you write it as select the list of columns from table A, left join with table B on the mapping columns. To understand left join better, let us see an example. Here we have a small business question. It says list all the persons from AdventureWorks database with their first name, last name, and in case that person is an employee, print the job title as well. Otherwise leave that job title field as null. So when you receive such kind of questions, these become the perfect candidate for a left join. So here there are two tables in play. One is a person table, other is an employee table, and when we perform a join we get the complete list of people from the person table, and only in the cases where they are employees of the organization we get the corresponding job title of the person. So here let's write our query implementing the left join. Here in the AdventureWorks database we have two tables to take into consideration. One is a human resources.employee table. The other table is person.person table. The join criteria between the person.person table and the human resources.employee table is the business entity ID. So when we join a particular person with this business entity ID, you will get the corresponding, if at all, if the person is employed at the organization, you will get the corresponding job title and organization information, and if at all if the person is not employed, then that particular person's entry, if it is not present in this employee table, then you will get the value as null. So let's go ahead and see how the data looks. So I'm going to start with my query with the simple select query part. I'm writing my from part, so I'm deciding my person.person. I'm representing that with a P, and I'm doing a left join like I've represented earlier in the other slide. That left join in T-SQL can be written as simple left join. I'm going to use human resources dot employee. Here the join criteria, as I've indicated earlier, it will be on the business entity ID. Equals to E dot business entity ID. Okay, let me change the context to the AdventureWorks database so that our IntelliSense starts working in this. So from P I will take the person's first name, I will take the person's last name, and from the employee table, that is E, I will consider the job title. Now in case the person doesn't have any entry in the business entity table, then the corresponding job title would not be present for that particular person. So let me just go ahead and execute this particular query and see how the result set looks like. So if you see here, Syed Abbas is an employee in the human resources.employee table, and his entry is present, and since he is present and he has a corresponding job title of Pacific Sales Manager. But when you come to candidates such as Catherine Abel or Abercrombie Kim, they are not an employee of the organization, hence they do not have their listing in the human resources employee table. So their corresponding job title entry, since it is not present, it is given out as null. Now if you observe from the left table person, irrespective whether a particular person has an entry in the employee table or not, the corresponding entry of first name and last name are still represented into the database. So this is your simple left join. Now coming down to the right outer join, the functionality of a right outer join is pretty much similar to the left outer join. The only difference here is that in the right outer join, instead of table 1, the complete data set from table 2 is represented in the output along with the overlap part of table 1, which is marked in green in the diagram. So if a row has corresponding entry in table 1, then that row from table 1 is also considered, and if a particular row doesn't have corresponding entry in table 1, then that particular result set coming from table 1 will be null. Now in SQL, the right outer join is written as select the list of columns from table A, right outer join table B on mapping on the mapping columns. Here you can consider one or many columns, and similarly in T-SQL it gives you an additional option to write it as table A right join with table B on the mapping columns. So this is the primary syntax of your right outer join. Now let us consider our earlier question of printing out the first name, the last name and the job title and implement that particular problem solution using a right outer join instead of a left outer join. So earlier we have written the solution of getting the person's first name, the person's last name and the job title from the table. Now if at all if I have to obtain the same result set using the right outer join, and then I have to flip the person's position from the left side of the join to the right side of the join. So how do we do that? Let me show you. So I'm doing a select from person dot person. So this person dot person should come to the right side of the query. So I will write it as right join, and the human resources dot employee should come to the left side of the table. So E and P on E dot business entity ID is equal to P dot business entity ID, and here the person's first name, last name and job title are to be obtained. Now if you see here in this result set, all the entries from the person table are represented. So you will see all 19,972 rows, and for those rows which have a mapping on its left table, that is human resources dot employee, you will see the records corresponding job title. So let's execute this particular query and see the output. So you can see in the output you have 19,972 rows, and similarly as you have received your output earlier, you got the person's first name, last name, and since for the right table person there is a corresponding entry in the left table of employee, the data is represented in the job title field. Now consider the second row where the last for Catherine Abel, she doesn't have the corresponding entry in the employee table, so on the left table, so the left data that is pulled from the left table is represented as null. So this is nothing but your simple implementation of right join, and you can see pretty much in your business scenario you mostly use a left join instead of a right join, but in cases you for the convenience of writing query, this is another possibility of implementing the same business question without changing the position of the table from left to right. So this is your simple right join. So this is your primary introduction into how a left join and a right outer join work in T-SQL and SQL. So for further information and learning about SQL, their commands and how to use them effectively and efficiently in your day-to-day business, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also please press a like button for the effort, so that I could be encouraged to create more videos such as this. Thank you so much.